felt like that we had saved Smokey, but little did I know that within a couple of years, he'll be doing something incredible for me as well. So at the time, I was working very hard to become a full-time city firefighter. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's a very competitive role to get. On average, there are about 20,000 applicants for under 100 positions per intake. And after 4 years of missing out and 11 rejected applications from different fire services throughout the country, I was accepted into Queensland Fire and Rescue to be based in Brisbane. And I was so excited and proud. I told all of my friends and everyone who helped me along the way, because it was a long journey to get accepted. However, 2 weeks before graduating from the 4-month recruit course, I was failed. And I was devastated when this happened. I'd spent years working towards this dream, only to have it snatched away from me right at the finish line. 4 years of sacrifice just for nothing. So I'd felt like a complete failure, and I have to really give it to my wife here. She stuck by me despite my new hopelessness attitude. And despite the support from my fiance and my family, I felt like I was letting them down. At the time, I just would have been happy to have just moved to an isolated part of the world and to have never had a social interaction with anyone ever again. But there was one set of eyeballs that I could look into and not just feel like a complete failure when I saw those eyes looking back at me, and they were Smokeys. Now, he didn't care what I did so long as I looked after him. Every morning he'd wake me up and we'd go for a morning walk. He helped me discover a quiet nature spot where him and I could just sit and chill out. Now, Smokey helped me get back to my old self. He did for me what no human could have possibly have done. And in 2015, I was part of a team who saved Smokey. And in 2017, Smokey really did save me. So because of Smokey's help, later I was back on my feet and my career was going really well again. I even got a side job with the Air Force Reserve, so I had 2 jobs. Here is some footage of Smokey greeting me after I was away for 3 months for my Air Force recruit course. Go inside, eh, mate? Hey, Grace.
See ya.
Hey, buddy. Oh, wow, you look nothing clean. Now, Smokey was getting better social skills, and that included with other dogs. Now, he originally only had 2 dog friends at Ayers Rock, and the names were Victor and Biff. But when he moved to Brisbane, he met lots of other canine friends, and he made friends with other dogs, including Cookie, Cleo, Miko, and Coda. And to be fair on Smokey, I really do need to mention all of his best canine mates. It's 2019, and Smokey had helped a woman through a pregnancy and a bad situation. He had helped me get back to my feet during the low point of my life. And now it's time for Smokey to help another dog. One of Grace's work friends rescued another Japanese Spitz named Roma. Now, Roma was very similar to Smokey from when we first got him. Roma was a former breeder dog and she could no longer produce puppies and she was given out for adoption. And we could tell that she had a very hard life. And because Smokey also had gone through some difficult times, Smokey and Roma were sort of the perfect friends for each other. Now, Roma did not socialize well with other dogs at all, but she tolerated Smokey. And after about 1.5 years, they became great friends. And I really do believe that those dogs helped each other. So Roma helped Smokey and Smokey helped Roma. And we had one of those arrangements where between Roma's human and ourselves, if either of us were going away for a long day, we'd leave the dog at the other person's house, so that way our dogs would not be home alone all day. And in fact, we did this so often that many people thought that both my Grace and myself had gotten a second dog, and also that Roma's human had also gotten a second dog, that they were babysitting each other's dogs so often. Smokey and Roma became very close, and over time, due to the help of Roma's human and also through Smokey, Roma became a lot more sociable and she became a much happier dog as well. And unfortunately, one day Roma tragically passed away from a tumour in her heart with basically no notice. Now, Roma's human was actually babysitting Smokey at the time, and it was a horrible day. And we couldn't even help. Grace was at the Gold Coast for work and I was at a coal mine on the other side of the state. So Smokey had just lost his best dog friend. They only had a 1.5 years together, but I believe that all those days in that 1.5 years, they really mattered to Smokey and both to Roma. Smokey really did have his fair share of sad moments within his life. But fortunately, for basically most of the rest of the video, it's going to be happier moments. So now we're going to be talking about some of the positive highlights. Now, I know all of this seems depressing so far, but don't worry, it gets pretty happy. So, Grace and I did well enough to buy an investment house, which we will eventually live in, and the 3 of us worked very hard together to renovate it. Now, Smokey loved the giant backyard here. Oh, that's him howling again. Oh, and that's him doing a bit more digging and sniffing. But a positive highlight of Smokey's life, that was our wedding. It was a great event. And Smokey kind of stole the show. He stood in for one of my groomsmen, and as any respectable groomsman would do, he felt the urge to rub his face in manure 5 minutes before the start of the ceremony. Now, I could not get it all off in time, but it's just one of those funny highlights of a day. And it was the best day ever, as he got to beg for leftovers under the table from 70 guests. In fact, he had diarrhea for the whole day after it. And if he were here, I'm sure he'd say it was totally worth it. And it was also great for him to meet everyone in our lives, as everyone had travelled from interstate or wherever for our wedding. And so it's great for Smokey just to actually finally meet our extended family. And for the following 2 years, things became relatively uneventful. Smokey found his comfortable rhythm and greeting me from my wife's car at the airport when I came home from my FIFO shifts. He got into the rhythm of barking at the postman and the local wildlife, and begging for dinner scraps. Now, he became popular with both my and my wife's parents and sister. I did a lot of long distance work away, and Smokey's bond grew even stronger with my wife Grace, and also Grace's mum Tess, and also his sister Rona, as they cared for him. Now, he had patrol for lost sausage rolls on a walk, and his younger years did eventually catch up with him. He did have to go through 2 knee surgeries for his 2 rear legs. It was also fun times too. He hung out with me as I renovated the investment house, and he'd enjoy the afternoon sunsets with me as we just got to chill out and enjoy the sun setting. And he really enjoyed hanging out with his human cousins, my niece and nephew. In fact, Smokey was with me back when my shed used to look like this. And now it looks like this. And so you can see all of the in-between photos here of how much work had to be done, and Smokey was here for literally every step in improving the shed. And although things were settling down for Smokey, he did still carry some baggage from his past. He had given little nip bites to Grace and basically anyone who has ever lived with him. And we lived in 4 houses, so he unfortunately nipped quite a few people. He even bit one of my housemates, Ian, and pretty badly too, where he's drawing quite a bit of blood, as he actually grabbed Smokey to prevent him from running onto a busy road with lots of traffic. And it's funny too, because Smokey actually really liked Ian, so it's funny that he nipped him. And just through luck and my flinchy reflexes, Smokey had never actually managed to nip me, one of his 2 primary humans. So now Smokey was 9, and we thought we had another 6 years-ish with him. But one day, he developed a bit of a cough, and we assumed it was kennel cough, and so we had a vet do a quick confirmation. And we provided with some medicine, and one day before his passing, he finally managed to nip me. He gave me a little bite while I was trying to spray the medication into his mouth. Now, I was the only adult human that he'd ever lived with that he'd managed to not bite, and he got me on his 2nd last day alive. It kind of reminds me of a retiring football player winning the grand final on the last game. So, well played, mate. So 2 days after this little nip, his stomach became bloated, and at midnight I made an emergency call to the vet. Now, to cut a long story short, the vet said that he had a burst tumour in his heart, and it was terminal, and there was nothing that we can do. Our options were either to spend an hour with him to say goodbye, or to rush him to an emergency surgery where the odds were extremely high that he'd just die on the operating table anyway. And even if the surgery was a complete success, it would buy us an extra few weeks if we were lucky. So basically it was terminal. And you know it's never a good thing when you read the word palliative on the vet reports. And it was actually a very similar medical issue to what took away his best friend, Roma. So to buy us a little bit more time with him, they actually drained some leaked fluids from his tumour, and to allow us a bit more time to say goodbye. So they actually drained 1 litre out of his 9.5 kilogram body. So it's basically 10% of his body weight was drained fluids. So the vet phoned us early in the morning advising us of the blood test results, and he stated that as a miracle that he was still even alive. So it's just further backed up what a strong little fighter he was. Now, we insisted on taking him for one last car trip before he passed away, and the vets made it very clear to us that he could die at any moment, and would probably be lucky to have even an hour. So we took Smokey around for his last day to say goodbye to all his favourite humans. So one of the first things we did was we video called his original human mother, Nina, and she spoke to him via video call for a while. Then we visited Rona, Tess, Andrea, which is Roma's original human, my parents, and we held Smokey as he died in our arms. And I think a part of us died with him. And we are so grateful that Smokey came into our lives. You saved me, you glued Grace and I together, and you helped your original human, Nina, through one of the toughest times of her life. And you gave another dog with a horrible life a great last year and a half along with her human. So you're the best thing that happened to 2 families and another dog. So rest in peace, Smokey. Thanks for sticking around to the end and honouring my best mate's memory.